Hi, thanks for reading the Imagine FX article, and I figured I would do a little recording here to kind of show my processes. And I'm doing this in real time so you can see how fast the idea of sketching in color can be. I'm going to be giving one brush. It's this chalky brush, and I'm keeping it really simple because I really love this brush. I've painted a few images already. But I'm going to do a new one, and I'm going to do it in kind of real time. So here's the few that I've painted so far. I've got my line drawing on its own layer, and I can pull the opacity of this down just so you can kind of see that, bright sunny day. I've done one that's kind of moody sunset, kind of cold sunset. And then I've done a third one that's this kind of toxic waste type of sunset, alien planet, something like that, super dark. So what I'm going to attempt to paint is another version of kind of sunset daytime where the sun is opposite of what it is here. This is my kind of cheery, middle of the day or early morning, and I want to do one that is a little bit more sunset. Now, one of the methods that, as an early artist, I usually, forgot that I could use was reference. Reference is an important part of concept design, color design, and looking, at other images. These are some photographs that I've taken through the years in different places, and I love to go back to these and use them as reference. So I'm going to use this image and kind of steal the lighting from this image and apply it to my own fantasy painting. There's a great book out there called Steal Like an Artist, and I love it because you can take just certain pieces and make it your own, and that's what being an artist is. Is seeing the world, learning to see the world, and how to kind of apply that world to your own. So anyway, let's get started painting. So I'm going to use this as my reference, and general idea for colors. My method, the very first thing that I do is I look for a kind of unified color. What is the generic fill color? So if I look at the way the lighting on this, the sun is setting, and you have the kind of yellow of the sky. I'm gonna start with this just generic kind of fill color here. Kind of fill this in like this, kind of moderate. It's almost like a green on the orange hills. And then I'm gonna pick the color from the sky here and just start painting in sky. I have a weird bug in Photoshop where my cursor sometimes disappears. So if you see it looks like it disappears, then you kind of know. I'm going to pick the color here for this color of these mountains. Notice I'm keeping my brush really big as I paint, because the only thing that matters right now is the primary colors. And I can figure these out and do lots of local color picking. I'm going to make this a little smaller now that I kind of get the general idea in. But make my mountains in the distance here. I'm going to select this yellow of the sky because I like this kind of gradient from bright on the side over to the more blue on the, from the right to the left. And I'm going to pick now the kind of sunlight color and do the same type of thing to say, oh, what if the sun is hitting the top of the volcano in just certain places? Maybe a little back here too. So there's only a little bit of sunlight kind of peeking through. The whole goal of this method of painting really big and really loose is to try to find the colors that then you can refine later. So I'm going to pick a color in here. This is my soft kind of edge. See if we can make this work. Okay, so I'm going to make my brush smaller and just continue to refine now. Now it's all about just taking the colors that I've found and seeing if I can make them work for the rest of this painting. And lots of local selection. What I'm doing is I'm holding down Option and switching over to the color picker tool temporarily. And as I've already found certain colors, I'm sort of repeating the process. Get my water over here. Maybe some low ground fog. The use of atmosphere is really important, to help give layering, to know atmospheric depth. Let's see, let's just, I'm going to have to make It's a lot of guesswork. You just kind of like try it. If it works, great. If it doesn't, try something else. I'm stepping back, I'm kind of blurring my eyes and seeing if this would start to look nice or not. There's my water. Trying to make sure that the atmosphere off in the distance is very, it kind of works for me for the layering to add depth. And the foreground definitely needs to be nice and dark. Almost all of these, I have this foreground, midground, background, atmospheric depth that I get, one could say I get trapped into it. I just love it so much because you can have this things in the foreground catching either more light or less light. In this case, it's going to be sunset, and the only parts of the image that are going to catch any of that sun are the tops of the mountains. So I'm making my little character dark. Again, trying to stay really loose and fast with this to just discover what colors could work. And then I can always refine it later if I find the colors that I want. I can clean this up. Let's make that brighter. Right along the top, the sun's actually still hitting the top peaks, but nothing below. I'm going to try on its own layer adding lights to the city again. Since the sun is setting, maybe the city that I have kind of tucked down in here will gain its own lights. A little more fog. Always refining, always noodling what I'm doing. Okay, so I'm going to make a new layer, and I'm going to try painting in some light. I'm just going to guess here and say, all right, it's kind of a warm city. The sun is sort of setting. Do it soft at first and get it brighter, glowing from underneath as the city's kind of lit up just enough in this light. Maybe a couple of brighter, tiny little spots. Just looking for impressions. Maybe some bounce light on these floating rocks that I've got, this floating rock theme that I've got going on. A little bit of light there, and all right. One other thing that I wanted to show that I probably don't need on this image in particular is the idea of glow layers and how powerful it can be. Oh, I could just paint for forever here. Anyway, I'm going to make another new layer, and I'm going to put the mode into linear dodge, which is add mode. I'm going to make a new brush and just choose the soft, round, pressure opacity, make this really large. And then I'm going to take my flow. Well, let me talk about what this does. You know, if I have it in add mode and you do a bright color, it's just going to add this color over top. So if I can add saturation, it's going to add this kind of glowing saturation. If I take the flow way down, maybe down to even like, you know, even lower, you know, 4 or 5%, something like that, I can add this on gently. So I can make a nice big brush, and then I can add glow to the sky in whatever color. It's going to tint things kind of red. Add some glow in here, and it gives this make it a little smaller for the city, so I can kind of customize where I want lights glowing. So here's on and off to kind of show the difference of what this glow tool can do. You can make it less saturated if you want the sky to be whatever color you want it to be. I don't really like that back there. So anyhow, this is kind of the general painting process. Now once I've established these colors, now I'll go in and refine it more. Like you can see, these are a little bit more refined, but not too much. I'll keep refining this and put this in the final post. But this is my method for painting and how fast it can be to explore the color and where you can take something without getting into all the too many details.